The first thing you need to do is you need to go to aplusstudents.com. You need to go to the website. You need to select math as your subject. Okay. Once you've selected maths as your subject, we'll go to our grade level. This is a grade 8 math lesson. Just a moment, please. This is a grade 8, and the topic is, name of the topic is data and graph. Okay. So we are doing data processing data today, and we are trying to draw different graphs today. And or we would see what kind of a graph can be used. Okay. I'll give you the chapter number and the lesson number. The chapter number is 24 and the lesson number is 17. Chapter number 24 and the lesson number is 17. Let's look at the name of the lesson. The lesson is choose the best type of graph. Okay, let's go to this chapter number 24 and lesson number 17. So once we go to grade 8s, just a moment, please. Grade 8, chapter number 24, data and graph, and lesson number 17. Okay, so before doing this, let's look at some types of graphs, right? That would be we would be using over here. So I've already copied this, some of them. A pictograph is a representation of data through, okay, let's put that down over here. This is the additional information we have. A pictograph will represent the information such that, in this case, teacups are given, right? And the number of teacups are showing us that number of people. That equals to, it said it equals to 3 people over here, right? So each cup is 3 people. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 3 times 7 is 21. There were 21 people having tea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That means 3 times 6 was 18 people were having coffee. Green tea was by 1 person. 3 people were having green tea. And multiply by 2 cups, that was 6 people were having iced tea. Okay. In a line graph, what happens is we plot individual points. If this was October, we put down the value. If this was November, we put down the value, and so on. Once we have put down the values, what we do is we simply join it. Okay. Stem and leaf. In case of a stem and leaf, what we do is number of birds at a watering hole each are, right? So there were stem 1 and 3 would be counted as 13. 1 and 4, this is 1 7 means 1 slash 7 means 17 birds. Okay, so this gives a larger number. We can break down the larger quantities into this. In case of a double bar graph, what we do is we have two quantities, type 1 and type 2. For each month or each given time duration, we are comparing the two quantities. When we are comparing multiple quantities, maybe 3 quantities, but since it says a double bar graph, that means we are just comparing 2 quantities. That would be done by a double bar graph. So these are the few types of graphs that we would be using in order to find which type of graph is the better fit for the given question. Okay. I'll use it further also. Just a moment, please. Just a moment. Let me just move this ahead. Okay, so that we can reuse that. So the first question says, okay, the given information in the first question is, which type of graph would best show, okay, let me realign, okay. If this is the question given to us, let's try reading it. Which type of graph would best show the number of water bottles sold at 4 different stores, okay, which come in a pack of 20s. So when we are looking at 4 possibilities over here, right? The first one was pictograph, line graph, stem and leaf, or a double bar graph. So we are saying that they are coming in pack of 20s. So in which of the graphs do we see a grouped information? We can say that in pictograph, we can say they were pack of 20s, right? So we can say one circle. Let's suppose if I say there was one circle is shows pack of 20 bottles, right? Water bottles, right? So that means how many stores were there? Sold at 4 different stores. So we can say store 1, store number 2, store number 3, store number 4, right? That means store 1 can have, let's suppose, 20 bottles. Store 2 can have 10 bottles. Store 3, okay. So let's make some more over here. Okay, store 3 can have 10 only, and store 4 can have 3 bottles, right? So if we are using this information, can we say that 2 multiplied by 20 was 40 bottles? Can we say 4 multiplied by 20 was 80 bottles? Can we say 1 multiplied by 20 was 20 bottles? And can we say 3 multiplied by 20 was 60 bottles, right? So this information, this is the number of circles I've just assumed over here. But can we represent this question through this diagram, right? So we can say that a pictograph is the best representation of this information, right? Because we have water bottles in packs of 20s, right? Which type of graph? We would say a pictograph is the best representation of this information. Agreed? Moving ahead, I'll just keep these together so that we can always refer to which kind of a graph it would be. So the next question we have is, okay, which is the best type of graph to show the number of stickers used? Let me just copy this. The question number 2 says, this is the given information that we have. Okay. If they are coming in packs of 2, packs of 3, packs of 4, right? If they're coming in a group of, then we would always use a pictograph. Okay, let's just rearrange this. Okay, the question number 2 says that which is the best type of graph that can be used to show the number of stickers, to show the number of stickers used by each class. That means there are multiple class levels, right? More information we can see is the stickers come in sheets of 8. That means one sheet will have 8 stickers on it, right? That means they are grouped, right? Sheets of 8. That means if we say there was one triangle that showed one sheet with 8 stickers, right? And by each class means they can be class 1, class 2, class 3, and so on. There are multiple class levels over here. That means each class and the stickers of it, right? So when we have a pack or group together, right, what do we use? What is the best option? A pictograph, right? Pictograph is the best option to create this information. We do not have to create the grid right now. What we are just trying to do is we are trying to choose which should be the best option. So we would say a pictograph is the best option to create this information on a graph. Do we agree? Let's have a look at another. For the next question, it says, just a moment, please, let me copy it. Which type of graph would best show the number of customers visiting per hour? Okay. So we can say that, let me just copy this, shows the number of customers visiting per hour. Okay. We know that whenever we do with one quantity variable, right? So question number 3 states that which type of graph would best show the number of customers which are visiting a coffee shop per hour? So there are no groups over here, right? Do we agree that? They're not telling us like 5 customers will be represented by this symbol. So that means pictograph is out of the question, right? We cannot use pictograph. What we can do is, can we use double bar graph? There is no two quantities that being compared. So pictograph and double bar graph cannot be used over here. So we are left with two options. Either it could be a line graph or a stem and leaf plot, right? But stem and leaf plot is used when there are larger numbers, right? Larger number of quantities. What easy would be, okay? So can I say that if I have the, let's look at an example. If we have a horizontal axis, and if I say number each hour, right? Number of hours. If I say the shop opens at 8 a.m., then 9 a.m., just doing a random, okay? 10 a.m., 11 a.m., and 12 noon, okay? So can we say that maybe at 8 a.m. there were 5 customers or 4 customers, 5 customers. At 9 a.m. there were 3 customers. 10 a.m. there were 4 customers. This was also, let's suppose, 6 customers. And 12 noon, there were only 2 customers. Can we say the information through this? And we know this information is line plot, right? Or line graph. So we can say this information can be done through line graph or line plot. Do we agree that line plot or the line graph is the best representation of this information? So for right now, what we are trying to find is what should be the best way to represent this information. For the next question, it says, which type of graph would you use to show, just a moment, the temperature, okay, for each week? Just a moment. This is the okay. So which type of graph should we be using to show the temperature for each week? See, if this was question number 4, and the information only we have is temperature for each day for 1 week, right? So there would be like first day, let's suppose Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday till Sunday, right? 7 days. And we would have one quantity for the temperature, right? So what should be the best? So can we say that the line plot can be used, or a line graph? We can say that, let's suppose an example is, because there are no two quantities compared over here, we cannot use stem and leaf, we cannot use a double bar graph, we cannot use a pictograph. For the line graph, the same information in question number 3 can also be represented by that. Let's suppose this was Monday, this was the temperature. Tuesday, this was the temperature. Wednesday, this was the temperature. Thursday, so this was the temperature. So can we say this information can be plotted by line graph also? Can we say a line graph can be used over here? Or for the first question, I would say line plot. Okay, to know the difference between them, this would be line plot. Agreed? So we can draw a line graph or a line plot for the information that is linear. That means for every one quantity, there is one value. Okay. So for now, what we are looking at is which type of the graph is the best usage to represent the information provided in the question. Okay. So let's move ahead to the next. Any questions up till now? Do we have any questions? If there are no questions, I'll move on to the next question. Okay, for the next question, it says if these are the possibilities we have, and they are telling us which is the best type. Let me just copy this. Which is the best type of graph to show the number of schools in each district? Okay. Let's just align this first. So what we are looking at, the information over here is that number of students in each class in the school in the district. Like there can be multiple students, right? There can be multiple students in a class. Number of students in each class in the school district, right? That means if this is school number 1, or they can be like in, okay, in class A, there could be 16 students. Class B, there could be 18. Class C, there could be 21. Class D, there could be 35, right? So whenever we have this kind of information, we cannot do pictograph, right? Because we are not, the quantities can be, they cannot be fixed by a fixed number, because we cannot say that we are grouping 3 students together, we are grouping 5 students together. We cannot do the grouping. Line graph shows that line graph would be if there are like 100 classes in the district, that would be like on the axis we would be drawing 100 plots. That is too much information. Double bar graph cannot be compared. Why? Because we are not comparing 2 classrooms or 2 particular values. We can use stem and leaf. We can say in stem and leaf, if we say this was stem and leaf, what we can say is 1, there was one class having 16, there was another class having 18, there was another class having 21, there was another class having 35. So this entire data has been broken down into one diagram, right? One representation. So what we say is, in this kind of a scenario, what we do is we use stem and leaf plot. Sorry, stem and leaf plot. Okay, so stem and leaf is the best representation, best way to represent the information between schools and the number of classes and the number of students in each school. Okay, any questions up till now? Are there any questions? If there is any question, please let me know. Okay. Moving ahead to the next question. We know that whenever we have stacks, right? Whenever we have grouped data, we have data in groups or packs, we have a particular way to process the information, right? Okay. So the next question we have is this, and it says, which type of graph would best show the given information if the number of programs distributed by each usher, okay, if programs comes in stacks of 5, we have a stack. A stack means it's grouped, right? So whenever the information is stacked or grouped together, okay, that means there is a symbol. Let's suppose a star would represent 5 programs, right? So that means program 1 can have certain number of stars, program 2 can have certain number of stars, program 3, and so on, right? So let me just create. So if I say program 1, program 2, sorry, and program number 3, okay? I'll just erase this, write it again. So program 1 can have, let's suppose, sorry, a star with 5 edges, 1, 2, 3, 4. This could be 1, this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So in this case, we can count the number of programs, different programs, right? So we say that, which is the better? A pictograph. A pictograph is a better representation of the data provided in this question. Okay? Do we agree? We cannot use stem and leaf, and we cannot use double bar graph. A line graph, maybe, but since the data was stacked in groups, we always use pictograph. Whenever the data is stacked, pictograph has to be the answer. Okay? Moving ahead to the next question, it says, which type of graph can you use to show the number of cans? Okay. If the cans, okay, let's see. Question next question. Let me just realign this first so that we have more space. Okay, if this is the given question, let's resize. The question number 7 says, which type of graph would you use to show the number of cans? There's number of cans. How many students? 3 students collected for a can drive. It says 3 students, okay? If each bag can hold 100 cans, okay? So that means the cans have been grouped. So can we say that student number 1, student number 2, and student number 3, right? Student number 1 can have certain number of cans. Let's suppose student 1 had these many cans. Can we say 300 cans? Student 2 would do 100 cans, and student 3 can do 200 cans. So can we say that the information rather than numbers, we can show shapes to give this information. And we also know that whenever it's grouped, we know that it would always be, can I have the answer? Whenever the information is grouped, what should it be? In grouped information, we can always use, like question number 6, we would always use a pictograph. Okay, a pictograph is the best way to represent this information. Any questions up till now? Do we have any questions? Okay, let me copy this so that we have our reference point. I'll just paste them here so that we can use it for the reference. Sorry, I'll just put it over here. Okay, moving on to the next question. The next question says, which type of graph would best show the information? It says the number of students who prefer pens or pencils, right? What we are trying to do is we are trying to compare two values together over here. See, let's realign. Okay. Okay. Prefer pen or pencils. That means we are trying to compare. So whenever we are trying to compare, this is compare. This is grouped. Okay. So can we say students who prefer pen and who prefer pencil? That means which information can be used? Which graph would be the best representation for question number 8? If we are looking at two options over here, either the students would select a pen or they would select a pencil, right? So what we can say is the information can be done through this bar graphs. Can we say the information can be processed through the bar graph? Right? We can say these were the students who selected pens and these were for the pencils, right? So this is known as, what is this information known as? Whenever we have bars, we can say it is a double bar graph. So a double bar graph would be the best way to represent this information. Agreed? Moving ahead to the next question. Okay, the next question says, which type of graph would you use to show the number of pens purchased by each teacher? Question number 9. Okay. For question number 9, I'll realign this. She used to show the number of pens purchased by each teacher if the pens comes in the group of tens. Okay. If we can buy the pens in group of tens. Okay. So let's see for question number 9. Can I have the answer? Question number 9. Okay. Can I be excused just for now? Just think over these 4 options and can I be excused for a few seconds? Thank you. Okay, so we know that the information over here cannot be done by bar graph. Why? Because we don't have two quantities. Agreed? Okay, yeah, that is correct. Your answer is correct. We cannot use bar graph. What we can use is, since we saw that the pens comes in boxes of 10. Agreed? So that means a single icon would show us, let's suppose this is equals to 10 pens, right? By each teacher. So we say if teacher 1, teacher 2 was there, teacher 3 was there, if teacher 1 purchased maybe 3 boxes, teacher 2 purchased 1 box, and teacher 3 purchased 2 boxes, right? So we can say this was 30 pens. This would be 10 pens purchased by second teacher, and teacher number 3 purchased 20 pens. Can this be the information used? Right? Oh, thank you for your answer. Yes, this is correct. So we say that a pictograph is the best information, best way to represent this information given in this question. Okay. Thank you. Moving ahead to the next question. Moving ahead to the next question, it says, which type of graph would you use to show, just a moment, please, to show the number of cars in the parking lot per hour? Okay. Let me just copy this first. Okay. Would you use to, sorry, a type of graph would you use to show the number of cars in the parking lot per hour? Okay, just a moment. Sometimes I just need to realign. So this is our question number 10. What can we say over here? We need to find the number of cars. We need to show the number of cars in the parking lot. And how are they broken down? Each hour of the day, right? For today, right? That means 8 a.m. certain number of cars are there, 9 a.m. certain cars are there, right? So what we can do is, can we say that if we have for today, we have the number of hours over here, right? And it says hour. So can we say 8 a.m., 800 hours, 900 hours, 1000 hours, right? And so on till they could be these many cars parked, right? There could be these many cars and so on. I'm just doing random values over here. Would this information represent the number of cars per hour in the parking lot? Yes, we can say this is a line plot. Okay, so either we can use a line plot for this given information. Okay, I'll show you another way how this can be done. We can use a line plot, or what we do is we can use a line graph. A line graph would also have similar values. It says 8 a.m. over here, it says 9, 10 a.m., 11 a.m., or 12 noon, right? And so on. This is per hour. And these are the quantities. Let's suppose this was 5, this was 10. This represented the number of cars. So we can say at 8, there were 4 cars. At 9, there were 5 cars. At 10, there were 2 cars. This was 4. And 12, this, let's suppose. So if we join these points together, right? If you're joining these points together, line plot or line graph, they both can represent this information. Okay, they both can represent this information for this given question. Okay, but we cannot do a bar graph, a pictogram, or a stem and leaf. Okay, so either of these can be used. Let's do some questions. Let's try some questions from the test and let's see which is the best option. Just a moment, please. Let me copy the question from the test. Okay. For question number 1, it says, okay, let me just align this. If these are the two options given to us, and it says, which type of graph would best show the number of programs distributed by each usher if the program are divided, comes in stacks of 5? Would it be option A or option B? This is our test. Okay, just a moment. Let me copy this so that we have the reference point. We have the reference diagrams. Okay, if these were our reference diagrams and this was our question number 1, so what can we say for question number 1? Which diagram would best represent? Can I have the answer? Let's see. Whenever the information given in this question is the programs are coming in stacks. So we just discussed that whenever we have a stack, we cannot use line, right? We cannot use stem and leaf. We are left with two options. We can use pictograph or a double bar graph, because double bar graph is also a stacked, right? You see the bars. Bars will mean the values are stacked together. So which information? Option A or option B? Yes, option B is the correct. Why? Thank you. Option B is correct. But why? Because they are grouped and there is just one value. Programs are being compared, right? Okay, thank you. Let's move ahead to the next question. So question number 2 says, let me just copy it. Which type of graph would best represent the number of students who prefer pen and pencils, pen over pencils, and they're comparing two quantities? Okay, so the given options are double bar graph. Why would we use a double bar graph? Can anyone tell me? A circle graph or a double bar graph? A circle graph is also known as pie chart, right? But it's not about the preference. A circle chart would show us the distribution with the angles. So if this is question number 2, which type of graph? Best show the number of students who prefer pens and the number of students who prefer pencils. Can I have the answer? Should it be a pie chart or a pie chart circle graph, or should it be a double bar graph? Can we see that we are comparing two quantities over here, right? We are not talking about their share. They have not given us the number of students. If they would have given us the number of students who prefer pencils and number of students who prefer pens, then maybe pie chart could have been, right? But they have not given us the values. They just want us to show which graph would be the best of these options. Can we use a pictograph? Can I have the answer to this question? Prem, can I have? Prinsley? Prem, anyone? Yes, thank you, Prem. Option number A, we would use option number A, we would say that if one value is representing pens, then the other value would represent the pencils, right? So what we are trying to do is we are trying to draw bars over here. If this was pen, then this would be pencils. And this is the double bar graph. Okay, thank you, Prem. Let's move ahead to the next question. The next question says, which type of graph would best represent, show the proportion of girls with their hair loose in braids and pigtails or ponytails? Right, okay, great. They have given us multiple choices over here, right? Okay, let's just realign. Okay, the girls can have their hair loose in braids, in pigtails or ponytails. Hair loose in braids and pigtails or ponytails. So what should be the information? What should be the best way to, what should be the best graph to show this information? Option number A or option number B? See, pictogram is done when there is one quantity, right? If they were counting the number of girls, then pictogram will give, right? If it's grouped. But when there are four types, then what we say is, yes, thank you. We will use a circle graph. And how can a circle graph be used? I'll just give you an example. Let's suppose these were the four different angles. Okay. So we can say loose was represented by this angle, braids, okay, pigtails, and ponytails. But we also need to remember that the sum of these angles, if this was 120 and this was 50, this was 110. Let me give a minute. Then the ponytails should be equal to, if you're using the circle graph, 120 plus 50 plus 110. Then this should be 80, right? Okay. So a circle graph was the best representation. Thank you for the answer. Okay. Let's try another question. For this topic, all we did was we did not draw anything. We were just trying to identify which should be the best type. Okay. So for the next question, question number 4, it says, which type of the graph represents the information of the pens to show the number of purchased by each students? If the pens come, they come in the boxes of tens. They have been grouped together. And we know that whenever the information is grouped, we would be using, which type of graph can be used? For question number 4, sorry, if this was question number 4, and these are the two options given to us, a pictogram or a line graph. Which type of graph do we use? Can we say that? Yes, thank you. Box of tens, whenever they are grouped. Thank you for the answer. Your answer is correct. We use a pictograph, okay? And the pictograph is the correct option. Thank you. Any questions up till now? Okay, no questions, okay. We are done with 4 questions. There are total 20 questions on the test. please kindly do complete the remaining questions, okay? And if there is any problem, just go through this video, this lesson again. And best of luck. Have a nice day. Take care.